Hello, and welcome back, movie fans. This is The Movie Date with Rob and Zach. I'm Zach,
I'm Rob.
and this is a podcast for people who like movies but don't want to be too smug about it.
Yeah. Little dash of smug every once in a while.
Yeah, I mean, you can't do long form.
Smug is like garlic salt. If you use too much of it, it's overpowering. With a soupçon.
Yeah, it's impossible to do a long form podcast about movies and not have, a little bit of pretentiousness creep to the surface.
Yes.
But
I do feel that today is a somber day because we have learned that he whose name stands above all, Henry Cavill, may not be Superman anymore. But
and
will
that
in
just
fact
tears
be,
you up, doesn't it?
But will in fact be The Witcher. Which you said in the last episode.
I am stoked about.
Yeah.
I would love to see a Witcher movie and done well, done
Series.
right. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a Netflix series.
Oh, it's a series.
Mhm.
I'll bet even better.
Yeah.
I'm stoked.
Good, the right hands. And you said that on an episode, and I was like, "There's no way that's true." And then, like 2 weeks
came
later,
true.
it came true. And
He said in an interview, someone asked him about it, and he was like, "Oh yeah, that would be a killer gig or
and
whatever."
at first, I was like, "I don't see it." And then I saw Mission Impossible 6, and I was like, "I could see it. It could work."
How did you get like? Oh, I could
he's
see him as Geralt.
Because he's like kind of
after-
a gritty guy in Mission Impossible 6, and I was like, I could see him doing that.
I want to see Cavill do a movie where he actually sports his normal accent. People have been forcing him to do an American accent for like
He's
ever
really
since
good
he's
though.
been in movies.
He's like what's his name in House? What's his
Yeah,
name? Hugh
yeah.
Laurie.
Yeah, you believe it.
It's a very transparent accent. But no, I actually don't think he's gonna quit being Superman. I think it's a marketing ploy.
And
I think it's a way for him to renegotiate. and get
according to
some more
all the news websites and everything, like that's what I saw. IGN popped up on my phone this morning. It was like Michael B. Jordan's gonna be Superman, and I'm like,
money. Don't believe it.
I
Clickbait.
don't know how to feel about that.
Do you think he wants all that noise that's about to come at him for that? To say nothing of like,
I mean,
whether or not let's leave.
I honestly
yeah.
think that he would be the kind of person to be like, fuck him, and like do it just to spite the trolls.
Maybe, but that's a tall order. And also, like, just
I mean,
like,
he's already experienced it with the backlash from like his casting in the Fantastic Four reboot.
yeah, we talked about this before that, and I said the only difference is the Human Torch, like you said, he's an ancillary character, and it didn't really mind. But I was like, but Superman is not ancillary; he is fundamental.
Well, it depends on what story you're
And
trying
whether or
to
not
tell. If you're telling the story of like the Dark Knight Returns,
even then, I think he's still pretty fundamental.
yeah, but he's like a backseat character in that story.
Yeah, but like, they're not going to do that. They're casting him for a franchise. If he's replacing Cavill, it's a franchise. But I was like, even whether or not I think it's a good idea, like I'll leave that over there.
Here's the thing:
The amount of racist horse shit he will get for that,
it's going to be astronomical.
I think it's more than he will
But
want.
Rob, here's the thing. Here's my take on
It's
it.
also not going to happen. It's not
Here's my take on it. I've kind of got like a Kylo Ren kind of like feel about this Hollywood bullshit, where I'm like, let the past die and shit, man. Why can't Superman be black? Why not, like, fuck up the status quo a little bit, shake things up? Marvel's been doing it in their comics for years now.
Yeah, but they always get super backlash.
I don't care. I think they're. I think if okay.
I don't care either.
If
but,
these
like,
movies and comics and all this stuff are supposed to be accurate representations of like America and like our current world,
which they should be.
hey man, we're a melting pot. Hey man, it's not all white people.
Here's why I am. I'm not really against it because it's not true. There's no way I believe that's true.
I say burn it all down, man.
Maybe, but
burn
I'm
it all
But I'm
down.
talking about like the reality of did he have a meeting with Warner Brothers about being Superman? I'm like, no,
Probably not.
absolutely.
This
not.
all just hearsay, of course.
And
but-
and Henry Cavill is not stupid enough to cash in his biggest cash cow.
Here's the thing:
It's
if they make him Jon Stewart, that'd be badass.
I'd do that. I
People,
always said they should make what's his name from the Star Wars movies would be a good one. John Boyega.
oh yeah,
He's
yeah,
got-
that'd be cool.
I saw him in Pacific Rim Uprising, and he plays the soldierly swagger guy really good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's not bad. But no, Henry Cavill would be an idiot to stop being Superman. It's it's his big break.
From what I read, it was because of all these like schedule clashes and all this stuff. I guess they don't want another mustache situation on their hands.
don't reshoot 2/3 of a movie and with a mustache on. Then yeah, apparently
Well,
he
I
was.
think it's more a problem with Cavill. Like, I think they're just like sick of him taking on all these projects or something.
No, I doubt it. When you look at his schedule,
I mean, look at Downey. Look at Downey. He's the face of Marvel for 10 years. What other movies has he really been in?
Sherlock
Like
Holmes, The Judge, and Due Date.
3 movies
Two, if you both Sherlock
that are
Holmes
not
movies.
Marvel over the span of 10 years.
Yeah.
That's because
And Chef.
he had like a bit part. That probably took like maybe a week of shooting, like
Probably
out
like
of
a
his
day.
time. And he probably only did that as a favor to Favreau.
Oh, definitely. There's no way he did it.
Like, I love how, like, did Favreau write that movie?
Mhm.
Okay, so yeah, Favreau probably wrote that in as like just a funny thing. Like,
Yeah.
Anyway, we're getting off topic.
No, we're.
But yeah, Downey Jr., face Marvel, 10 years, only been in like 3 to 4 movies in the interim. Why?
Yeah.
Because he knows that he is bound to this giant train, like this huge machine.
Well, you're making my argument for me, which is that Henry Cavill, like Robert Downey Jr., tried doing smaller pictures. and
What
they did
I'm
it-
saying is I think Warner Brothers is fed up with Cavill. That's what I'm saying.
I doubt it. The fan push for Man of Steel 2 is at its froth. Because I listened to all those.
The fan push meaning like you.
No, like I subscribe to all those. I subscribe to all those DC film hubs and stuff, and they're always like, whenever they announce a new DC movie, Harley Quinn and the Joker movie or whatever, everyone's always like, there's always 90,000 comments going, "No, thank you, Man of Steel 2, please."
Speaking of Joker movies, what do you think about
Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah,
I'm
what do you
excited
think
to
about
see
that? Excited?
I'm excited to see it. I'm not. They mentioned that.
It's supposed to
Alec
be like an
Baldwin was-
origin story.
Yeah, well, it's gonna be an Elseworlds tale, so it's not gonna be in the DC extended universe.
Okay.
It's just like it's a kind of a one-off.
I can dig that.
Yeah, they said it's going to be kind of like The Killing Joke, where he's a comedian and he has a bad day and
When he goes through the
kills a
Red
bunch of
Hood
people or whatever.
stuff or whatever.
Yeah, maybe. Well, I don't know if how much of that we'll see, because the rumor is Thomas Wayne is going to be played by Alec Baldwin, and then he said no. So now there may or may not be a Thomas Wayne, which makes me go, if there's a Thomas Wayne, but he's that old.
You also got like De Niro in this picture.
I think so, yeah.
Who's he playing? Like a cop guy or
I
something?
can't remember.
You also got Mark Maron weirdly cast in this movie. Like,
Honestly.
where are you gonna put?
Mark Maron, I feel like, could be a good Joker if he had like some acting lessons. He's crazy enough.
He's definitely got like
He's
that.
unhinged.
He's definitely got that like Hamill-esque like snarl to his voice. But
Yeah.
I don't.
He's
know.
neurotic. He's neurotic enough to play like a weird, like I don't know, Woody Allen-ish
I don't
Joker.
I don't see it. I think they cast him as like a detective or something. I can see that. I
Yeah.
can see a
I want
grizzled mustachioed detective Mark Maron.
Mark Maron needs to do more stuff, so I'm glad he's supposed to be good in Glow. But like if the thing that was raised was like, if there's a Thomas Wayne in there, a lot of people were saying the Joker without Batman is not interesting, and the Batman sort of without Joker isn't 100% interesting. Which I don't
Yeah, they
know.
are like the antithesis of each other.
Yeah, and I was like, a Joker movie without a reference or mention of like the Dark Knight doesn't always excite me, but I am excited to see just like a weird Elseworlds interpretation. Duda?
Just hold the phone for a second.
I'm holding them right here.
What if they do like a Flashpoint Batman kind of thing?
Well, the rumor was they were going to use Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Yeah.
in that, but then they said the Flash movie is just going to be not an origin movie, but like a typical solo movie. So the Flashpoint is on. I would love to see that. I love that story.
That would be like the thing I'd be most stoked for to come out of the DC proper. Like I would go see that movie and pay my
That's
my
not
money.
even like, that wouldn't even be a Flash. That's that's a new big event. That's like your
Yeah.
Civil War or whatever.
Because
It could
I'm
it's a
gonna
big
be honest,
crossover.
I'm a Marvel guy predominantly, but DC's got some really great arcs that I would love to see adapted to film.
I want to see a
One of those is
Flashpoint movie.
Flashpoint.
I want to see a Flashpoint movie just so I can get the last scene
Oh yeah,
where Flash gives Bruce the letter from his dad, and he
Mhm.
cries like a bitch and just looks at him and says, "Thank you." And I was like, "Ha!
yeah.
It's so sad, but so
That
right."
or like some Blackest Night stuff, man. That would be killer.
There's rumors that they're gonna incorporate some of that into the Green Lantern film. You have to work your way up to that. You have to introduce like the
I
other.
just don't want to wait 10 years like I did for Infinity War.
Yeah, but that's like I think I'm just Henry Cavill does not need to stop being Superman. He's good as Superman. Even if you're someone like you who doesn't like, you're not a Superman guy. He's the
I can admit that he does a good Supes.
yeah, he fits the role perfectly. And I was like, ultimately if they do end up recasting him, like I'll be fine. I'll see the movie, and if the new guy is good, I'll get on board. But I'm like, you're squandering a lot of the goodwill you've built up, and these movies are anything but controversial. They're always some blown out of proportion drama, and DC never handles it well. They
No.
never
No.
handle it well. So I'm excited for Aquaman and Shazam. They both look sturdy, so I'm excited to see
I don't
those.
give a rat's ass about Aquaman.
Looks good. You're crazy.
I do want to see that Shazam movie because the trailer, it looks fun. It
Yeah.
looks like a really
Aquaman
fun
looks
movie.
fun too. There's a big underwater war with them on giant creatures. You just saw a match trailer.
It's all spectacle.
What's wrong with Spectacle? Spectacle's awesome.
It doesn't. I don't.
Guardians of the Galaxy is all spectacle. Those are good.
No, man. It's got it's got lots of stuff other than spectacle. It's got heart. It's got
Aquaman has heart. There's that part in the trailer. He's like, I came here because I had no choice. I'm here to.
yeah. That's
save
fucking
my home."
obligation. That's not heart.
Yeah, it is.
That's like me going back to my
'cause he
parents for
says, "I'm here- I'm here to-
Thanksgiving.
he says, I'm here to save the people that I love. That's why he chooses to do it. Plus, if you've read the Jeff Johns Aquaman run, which is
I haven't, but I do like me some Jeff Johns.
it's 5 stars. It's great. And there's a lot of stuff in that trailer they took right out of like the trench monsters.
Hmm.
That's right out of those comic books. The part where he rescues the submarine, like that's right out of one of those comic books.
I mean, Manta Ray is kind of a cool villain, I guess.
Black Manta.
Black Manta.
Yeah.
Why did I say Manta Ray?
Is there a Marvel guy named Manta Ray?
I think that's a SpongeBob character.
That's a cool superhero name though. Manta Ray.
Manta Ray Romano.
Anyway.
The cheese of the deep.
All right. So we've talked a little bit about some movie news. Today is Zach issued both both simultaneously a blind date and
And a continuation of Keanu Reeves month.
Yes.
Yay, fanfare, confetti. This episode, we're doing A Scanner Darkly, based on a Philip K. Dick novel of the same name.
by Richard Linklater.
Yeah.
I've got the synopsis pulled up here. In the near future, as America virtually loses the war on drugs, I don't know how it's an amorphous war. How can you lose it? Robert Arctor, a narcotics cop in Orange County, California, becomes an addict where he goes undercover. He is wooing Donna, a dealer, to ferret out her supplier. At the same time, he receives orders to spy on his housemates, one of whom is suspect of being Donna's biggest customer.
All right. And we got Donna as played by
Winona Ryder.
Winona
We got
Ryder.
Keanu Reeves, Robert Downey Jr., Woody Harrelson,
Stacked cast for sure.
Alex Jones. Get rid of that guy.
There's
Um,
an Alex Jones part in this movie
And
where he
in-
gets taken away by this like van of
Yeah, he's in Waking Life too.
really.
Yeah,
This is weird.
I don't remember seeing that. That did not age well.
No.
I bet you if Richard Linklater could go back, he'd be like, "Let's just edit."
Yeah, I saw that and I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
But yeah, we're not gonna hold back any spoilers for this
Yeah,
because it's like
go with
a
that.
16-year-old movie.
12 actually. That's still-
12. My math is off.
It feels way more recent. It feels like it came out like 4 years ago, for me.
I mean, I remember when it came out and I like remember seeing, all that rotoscoping
Yeah, all the trailers and stuff.
animation. I was just like, wow, that looks cool. Wow. But I was like a kid.
Yeah.
So there's no way I would have been able to watch
This
it.
movie, because of that animation style, had a 15-month post-production process, which is unheard of. That's like
That is nuts.
That's like an Infinity War level or like any blockbuster level post-production process.
So they
because-
spent what did you say? They spent 8.7 million and they only got back 7.7
Yeah, because
million.
Richard Linklater, they were wanting to make it a little more. The original plan was they wanted it to have a higher budget,
Mhm.
maybe like I don't know, probably like 20 or 30 million, which still isn't a lot, but so they could have like have more of a more of the science fiction elements and make it a little more of a real thriller. Richard Linklater opted to keep the budget low so he could make a more sort of creatively controlled
It
film.
was really grounded in a way
Yeah,
that
and he,
I didn't
and he
think
really
it would
wanted
be.
to push the animation process so that because he says one of the reasons he did it animation style because you could do this movie without doing that.
Yeah.
But he said there's not a lot of animation for grown-ups out there, and he's right. So I was like, that's and because of that, they didn't know how deep they were getting in onto this because basically you have to go through every frame and reanimate it. So not just so basically you're making a movie twice.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And it, because of that, the movie didn't make a lot of money. It was
What it did do though was it's one of the movies that catapulted Downey Jr. into the powerhouse he is today.
yeah, it was right after he got out of rehab and all of his contracts had a have to say sober clause.
And what does he pick to play after getting out of rehab?
Yeah.
A paranoid drug addict.
Yeah, it was this movie and Zodiac, and then he went Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
So he had two little kind of high profile directors cast him again to show that he's not a crazy person. And then he became Iron Man for the next 10 years.
And you can even see in this movie like the bones of what would become the character of Tony Stark.
Yeah, I guess. He's
Just
weird, fast talking
really
guy.
eccentric, fast talking, like going around your head with logics.
Yeah. I would say all the people in this movie definitely do a good job of like
There's a lot of good character work in this movie.
yeah, but they also do a good job of making you
believe them, believe
understand
that they're
their
in the
paranoia.
station. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's a really great like painting of drug paranoia.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, especially like
And
especially
it
Downey,
paints it in a way to make you understand why, and how the paranoia starts. And
yeah, especially like with Woody Harrelson and Downey Jr.
like that scene with the bike when he
Yes.
takes the bicycle in and sets
And they
it on the
both
coffee
they
table.
spiral out immediately.
Yeah, it's
They immediately just make giant leaps of to conclusion. There isn't even such a thing as an 18-speed bike, and nobody brings that up to it ever. Like if any of you have had like drugged out friends who just go they go that far that quickly, it feels right. It's exactly what it's like.
yeah,
So.
it's a good portrait of that. It also does a good job of portraying just how far like law enforcement is willing to go to win the war on drugs.
Yeah, in a way, this is a more what's the word I want to look for? I'm gonna be very careful. In a way, this is a more compassionate look at a war on drugs because since we're in spoilers, the bad guys in this movie are this giant company that make the drugs and are also the rehabilitation center for the drugs.
The vicious cycle.
Yeah, New Path or whatever they're called.
Yeah.
They're the people that make the drugs and they use their rehabilitated clients to harvest their drugs.
Yeah.
And so I mean, if that existed in the real world, I would be like, oh, yeah, I want the ATF to knock down their door with guns. Those people are crazy. Is this a good movie, do you think?
Here's the thing.
It's middling on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, it's got like a 67%.
Which
on
Rotten Tomatoes is not the be all end all, but it's somewhat of a consensus.
Here's the thing. The movie is good if you're a Philip K. Dick fan. The movie is good if you're a fan of the stacked cast that's in it. If you're a fan of animation, or if you're just interested in those kind of like seedy underbelly type movies.
Yeah.
It's not for everybody. That's definitely for sure.
One thing I love about Richard Linklater is one of the things that I
hate
about him.
A lot of it like plods along.
No,
it's
no,
not very breakneck at all.
None of his movies are ever the same.
Super slow. If you're like a stoner, you'd probably enjoy this movie.
Yeah. If anything, that's one of a sort of a critique I'll have of it later in a way. But the thing I love about Linklater is the thing that I hate about him is none of his movies are ever the same. So you never know what you're going to get. It's like Ang Lee. You never know what kind of movie you're going to get from him.
Yeah, I mean, you could get Incredible Hulk, or you could get Life of Pi.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon.
They're all so
different.
crazy different.
Like he's done.
Or Brokeback Mountain.
Yeah, Linklater's done Dazed and Confused, Boyhood. He did that movie with Cranston, Lawrence Fishburne, and Steve Carell called The Last Flag Folded or something, where they take their dead body of their war friend on a trip.
I wanted to see that.
It's not bad. I saw it. It was it's a little. It's weirdly sad for a
Is it
movie
like
from
Grumpy
him.
Old Men meets The Bucket List or something?
Yeah, more or less. He's he did this movie, did Waking Life. He's done the only thing he hasn't done is like a straightforward actiony movie because I think those would bore him in a way, or maybe he'd want to do if he did it, he would want to do it like
Richard Linklater,
Blade Runner 2049 style.
I think Richard Linklater wants you to think and then forget about what you think and just feel.
That's a great way to.
Because like when I watched Boyhood, like I was just like, wow, man,
It's
like
not really a plot. She's like, this is a person's life
right.
over period of time, and that's basically all you're left with. It's a great movie. He did that over 12 years.
Yeah.
Very slowly. So got to give him credit for vision.
Like, hell, you got to give him like Boyhood and A Scanner, like just all the time it takes to make these movies.
Yeah, and
like
he
that's
always, and
just incredible to me.
all of his movies are these really like low budget ones, which is probably the only reason he's able to get away with doing these big long productions. When like when Miramax or whoever let him do Boyhood, they were probably like, "Well, what's the budget for this?" They're like, "Oh, like $3 million." Like, yeah, I do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But if it's like, but if you're like, I'm making an adaptation of Akira and it's gonna be a big giant budget thing, they're like, you have 6 months and for your post production or whatever, and that's not including shooting. But I was like, because he does these little kind of itty bitty movies, he gets a lot of wiggle room, and sometimes he'll make stuff that I think falls flat, and then sometimes he'll make stuff that I think is interesting, but maybe not 100% on board for me, which is probably where this sits. And then he'll make something that's like really visionary,
Right.
like Boyhood or something.
So let's get down to the heart of why we're doing this movie.
Yeah.
Keanu Reeves. What did you think of him in this movie?
I think he's great in this movie.
He
I
does.
think he's the best part of this movie. And you said
It almost like I've always wanted to see Keanu Reeves do like close to a noir thing where there's like monologues going on,
Constantine.
where there's like monologues going on, and he's like just super depressed and dark and surly. And I haven't watched Constantine all the way through,
We're gonna do that. That's one of my picks.
Okay.
So we'll do that.
but this movie, I feel like he is in his element totally.
Yeah. You said something. Maybe you didn't say this. Maybe I'm misremembering. You might have said it about something else. You said that Keanu Reeves is like he kind of only has one style of performance, and that it's kind of like a weird, befuddled, dumb guy. I don't know if I think.
No, I don't think it's a weird, befuddled, dumb guy. I just think it's a very I don't want to say repressed, but definitely just low key. You know.
Yeah. I don't think. I guess what I'm saying is I don't think he's dumb in this. I don't think he plays like the same kind of characters we see. There, like you ever see a movie with him where he's like Dracula or something, to where he's awful in or something, and he has really bad dialogue or something, and he doesn't say it very well, and it's not, and you feel like that's a man acting. But this one, I feel like he's a real guy who just got lost in his life,
Yeah.
and wound up in this shack with these crazy people.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's
And
really
weirdly
good.
enough, it's like the most, pardon the pun, animated I've seen him in a lot of movies.
Yeah.
Which is weird for the part because the part should be like this, down on his luck, repressed kind of drug-addled guy. And
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, like
Who doesn't know
I
he's a
see
police
so
officer.
much more emotion in like this performance than so many other performances I've seen him in.
Mhm.
It's kind of like I would hearken this movie. I would compare it to like Jim Carrey in like Eternal Sunshine.
Yeah.
Where you get to see like
He's got a new show coming out too.
yeah, I want to see it so
Kidding.
bad.
I think
Yeah.
it's called.
It looks really good.
Yeah, it does.
But yeah, he
No, I
he
think-
he
I think
did
he's
he
great.
does do the patented why.
He does it once, Zach.
He does it though. That's the point.
But like, how else do you want him to say it?
But like Keanu Reeves,
That is how he said it, though.
he's just like why.
Yeah. That's where I bristle. I feel like he said that as normally as any person would say it. Like, I feel like people like expect him to be like, "What? Why?" like, or something crazy like that.
Keanu Reeves asks questions like no other man on earth.
He's a detective. His job is to ask questions.
I love that the very beginning scene when he's in the little conference or whatever,
Yeah.
that little room. And he's got the suit on that just scrambles his look and voice or whatever.
Yeah.
And I love how he starts off with all the rhetoric, and it slowly devolves,
Unravels.
yeah, into his own psyche, and it's that whole scene and that monologue is done so well.
Yeah.
I love it.
It also it sets up something that becomes more progressive in the not progressive, but gets progressively worse in the movie as he forgets who he is. His identity's compartmentalized.
Mhm.
When he's in the suit, he doesn't know that he's Rob Arctor. And when he's Rob Archer, he doesn't know that he's a police detective. So he's investigating himself without knowing it because his brain, he's done so much damage to his brain. And that scene, I like to think a little piece of Rob Archer comes through. A little piece of sympathy for the people who Philip K. Dick says were punished far too much for what they did.
Sure.
And I feel like that's kind of what that is. But it's the only real time we get that in the movie.
Yeah, you could also see this movie as like, the argument addiction is not a disease or
Yeah,
whatever.
which Philip K. Dick doesn't believe in.
No, this is an argument for it is a disease, and we should have a little more compassion for those people.
Which is weird because Philip K. Dick doesn't believe that. But this is the ultimate. This is like exactly the argument you'd make.
Yep.
Because Philip K. Dick, but to be fair to him, he says like at the end of this movie, he lists up Philip K. Dick, and it's in the book, lists a bunch of people that died or had traumatic injuries from years of drug abuse, and he lists himself on that list as incredible pancreatic failure or something like that. He prefaces it by saying these are people who were punished far too much for the things that they did, but that does imply, and I don't know a lot about Philip K. Dick, but I feel like that is a very telling thing to say because it implies that it's a negative thing to do.
Well, let's just give the audience a little bit of like perspective. Philip K. Dick also had a bunch of other movie adaptations.
Stephen King of science fiction.
Yeah,
so much shit.
He's right up there with Isaac Asimov, man. Like including Blade Runner, which is based off "Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?" We've got Total Recall, was based on Philip K. Dick. Minority Report, one of your personal favorites.
Love it. Did he do iRobot or is that Isaac Asimov?
Let me do a little comp trolling.
I'm pretty sure that's Isaac Asimov because the same guy who did iRobot is the same guy who wrote Bicentennial Man, because it has like the 3 rules of robotics, or you can't kill people and you can't something else, but you.
All right, so yeah, you're right. Bicentennial Man is an Isaac Asimov movie.
Yeah.
iRobot, End of Eternity. So yeah, there's more Philip K. Dick adaptations than there is Isaac Asimov.
Yeah, fair enough. That's good. No problem with that.
So I know people will kind of, if you're not super learned, there's some bleed through. You might think one is the other.
Yeah, which I'm not. I don't know a lot about Philip K. Dick. I've seen like a couple of movies based on his stuff, and I always typically like them.
That Nicolas Cage movie Next is a Philip
so
K.
crazy
Dick
when
adaptation.
You told me that. I was like, because that's such a shit movie.
It is bad.
And it's such like written by a guy as high pedigreed as Philip K. Dick. I'm just like, it's so weird to imagine him writing that. Like
he
that
didn't write the movie.
I know, but that book has to be better.
Okay,
it has
the
to be
book's
way
always
more
better.
interesting. But
do you think do you think Jurassic Park is a better movie or book?
I think it's a better movie.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I'll agree. I'll agree to that. I'll agree that the Jurassic Park and A Lost World are better than their source material.
Yeah. More fun. More like more movement in the book.
Right.
Like,
all right. So what are the bad parts? What are the things you didn't like about A Scanner Darkly, Rob?
I think the bad things are like are victims of circumstance, because here's the thing. This is a movie less about, like, if you read that synopsis, you think you're in for like a dystopian thriller. You are, but not in the way that you might think you are.
Right. It's more grounded.
About people. It's more about people who are horribly affected by this drug called Super D.
The Substance D.
Substance D, or death, as they call it, which is a terrible name to market your drug.
Yeah, like, you want to drop some death?
Yeah.
No, man.
No, thank you. Yeah. So, and a lot of big portions of this movie are around the effects of paranoia and brain damage and hallucinations. And after a while, you start to not really feel a sense of urgency around stopping this drug. I think that's that if there's a problem with it, it's a movie more concerned. And Philip K. Dick said, I did some researching for this, said a lot of this in interviews. He was really bad on drugs when he was writing a lot of this, which is where it came from. He was
probably where some of those really dark, brooding monologues come from.
He was really bad into amphetamines, and that's what caused it. One of the things that ended his life, because he got that horrible pancreatic damage, and it just kind of wore him down as his life went on. Until eventually, he died from it, basically, or maybe he didn't die from that, but it didn't help him live any longer. That's for sure. And this is a movie, like, the movie opens with something that basically sets up. It's like it's a guy in a shower going crazy because he thinks these bugs are all over him. By the
Yeah.
way, that character's not in the book.
Really,
No, he's not in the book. Richard Linklater wrote that part for that actor.
I think it works. It fits.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't not fit. Like it seems like another person that Keanu Reeves would know in that world.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I feel like this movie works at its best as a movie about paranoia and how, because to someone like me, I've never, a little personal, I've never done any drugs at all. I don't drink. I don't even smoke cigarettes.
Right.
And I have no idea how, doing a pill or something can evolve into you thinking people have put spying cameras in your house, which is a whole like 5-6 minute scene about that.
But they did.
In the movie. They did,
put
but
cameras in
for
the
not
house.
even close to the reasons that they think.
I love that too. It's like you're gonna be spying on yourself. Well, wouldn't they know? Like when you're not at the house, you're at work spying on your own house. Like
Yeah, well, he doesn't know that because he doesn't know who he is.
Right.
Keanu Reeves doesn't. But no, in the movie, like they're driving down this street and they pass this truck, and all of a sudden his gas pedal won't lift up or it won't come up anymore. So the car keeps accelerating,
Right.
and eventually they swerve over and they shut the car off because it gets real scary.
and they start getting paranoid about this linkage
Yeah, because
cable
this
to
little screw came loose, and they're like,
They
"How
did it, man."
How could that ever have come loose? They're onto us, man. They sabotaged our car, trying to kill us. And then on the way, and first of all, Keanu Reeves has like one of the most salient moments in the movie, where he's like, Robert Downey Jr. pulls out some D.
it. Yeah, he offers
And
it to him. He's like,
He said,
no,
maybe
man,
this
that's
is
probably
what's doing this to us. And he goes, how could drugs unhinge your car? And it was like, you know what he's talking about. But then they get in the tow truck, and on the way back to the house, Robert Downey Jr. reveals that he thinks they're being spied on. So he put cameras in their house to spy on the people who are spying on them. So if they leave, he leaves the door unlocked and puts a note on the door.
said, "Come
that
on
says,
in."
Come on in. It's unlocked. And they get there. And
freak out.
they have a freak out where he goes, where he's like, oh, they find a joint. Like everything.
Oh, the joint's still lit. Somebody's been here, man.
Not even still lit. It's warm.
Right.
Like, would you like? I mean, like, this is what I'm saying. Is like I again, I don't have any history with like drugs.
Like their detective skills are off the charts.
Or they're just crazy people. Because here's what happens that gets hilarious to me. Because this is watching the digression of paranoia as their scene unfolds. Is, they go, the scene's lit. Oh my God, there is somebody here. And he goes, they're probably coming at us right now. Like they're probably on their way to do a raid. They stashed drugs in the house. Like, we got to find them. Turn on every part of this house. And they get up, and Robert Downey Jr. is like, wait. He goes, we can't let them see us running around like chickens with our head cut off. We have to be chill. We have to slowly look around the house for the drugs. and he goes, maybe that's what they want in the first place. It's like they want us to, because if they come in and we're running around and they find us with the drugs, we won't be able to say that we didn't know about the drugs. And he goes, like, so if we find the drugs, we're in trouble. But if we don't find the drugs, we're also in trouble. And like Woody Harrelson freaks out. And then he recommends that Keanu Reeves sell his house with the drugs in the wall and include
it in the sale price.
Yes, it goes downhill so quick with these people.
Like this spiraling into oblivion.
It's incredible. And those are the parts that are really interesting in the movie. And like eventually like Winona Ryder comes out and you're like, oh, that was her joint. And they all just freaked out. But there actually are, like, I guess if there's a criticism I have, I wanted more of this movie to be about like the shady fuckers behind Substance D.
Right.
And the terrible things that they do to people. Because they turn people into literal brain dead people.
Right. I did want to see more of that, like what part of the big machine, more of the, the dystopian aspects of what's
it seems pretty normal. Like it's, regular, everyday, shitty America.
Well, that's part of what's good about it is it's very believable.
Sure.
Despite the crazy science fiction of having like a bodysuit that scrambles your image and voice and
Which
stuff.
I'm never quite convinced of why they need that. Are their lives in danger? Like, is it like investigating a cartel or something?
Well, right. I mean, he's undercover, right?
Well, I get that.
So you don't want
use a fake ID and a fake beard. I don't know. I was never convinced that like it's so these investigations and this drug are so like seedy and dangerous that you have to hide your identity. I was like, I never quite got that. I think it's a great sort of plot device to to separate Keanu Reeves's alter egos from each other.
Right.
I think it works really well that way. Because like here's like nothing like the people who make this drug. Because at the end of this movie, the twist is it's revealed that Winona Ryder is Fred, or not Fred, the other guy. Fred is Keanu Reeves' alias. His superior officer with the other scramble suit on.
Right.
And it's revealed that's Winona Ryder is Donna's character the whole time. And they have been setting Keanu Reeves up to get addicted so that he can go to New Path and find those flowers that they used to make the drugs.
By the time he gets there, he's so burnt out. He's practically an invalid.
Yeah, maybe. Because at the end, they wonder if they've gotten him off of it quick enough. Like that's the quest. That's between Winona Ryder and the guy at the diner. She's like, did we... I feel terrible. I feel like we're worse than these people. And he goes, did we get him off this stuff quick enough to where he can even remember what he's supposed to do? And they send him there. And at the very end of the movie, he says, he picks the flower and he says, I'm picking it for my friends. I'll give it to them at Thanksgiving. The reason he asks that question is because he asks that guy, because they changed his name to Bruce. He goes, you're Bruce now. Try to brainwash these people into picking their drugs. And he says, oh, when can I see my friends again? And he goes, oh, well, you'll get visits outside of here all the time, like 3-4 times a year. Christmas, Thanksgiving's coming up, so he said I'm picking this for my friends at Thanksgiving. So does he give that to them? Does he know what he's doing? Does he not? It's kind of like how
leaves
you
it there. Yeah,
it's kind of
it's
how
open
you
to
feel
interpretation
it. Yeah.
heavily.
I want to hope that he does, but
see, part of me likes the fatalistic view of it.
Sure.
And I want to think that he is in fact an invalid now and can't help them at all.
It definitely helps the idea that addiction is like you never really sort of get away from it. Like even a guy who's been
you
alcohol free for
you can't
7
come
years.
back 100%. Like the best you could hope for is close to 90.
Yeah. This is going to be a little bit of a tangent. Did you ever see that movie Warrior with Nick Nolte? It's the MMA movie.
Mm-mm.
It's not bad. Nick Nolte got nominated for an Oscar for that movie, this tiny sports movie. He plays the father of Tom Hardy and Joel Edgerton. He was a real animal to them growing up.
Okay.
He got back from Vietnam. He would beat on them, and he was a really bad drinker. He had huge alcohol problems. The opening of the movie, Tom Hardy comes back and he meets him, and they have a real aggressive conversation. He goes, he keeps testing him with this bottle of whiskey. So come on, have a drink with me, trying to see if his dad will still do it. And he goes, Tommy, I haven't had a drink in 7 years or something. Later on in the movie, because Tom Hardy can't bring himself to forgive his dad for what he did to him. He comes into him when he's in the middle of one of these this big MMA tournament that the whole movie's building to, and the room is trash. And he comes in, and Nick Nolte has this real bad drunk flashback to like him in Vietnam, and he's yelling at Tom Hardy like he's a drill sergeant, and it's really sad. And it just shows that like in an instant you can become people who've been clean for forever can slip back.
Sure.
And you never really kind of lose that wiring in your brain once you become an addict. I think that's what that scene is supposed to sort of be about, is that even though he's off, he's off D. He's been off it for, I don't know, probably several months.
Yeah, but when he says friends, in your mind, is he talking about, the in law enforcement, or is he talking about, his drug friends?
Who knows? That's the open-ended question. And I think that I think Philip K. Dick sees addiction as a thing that's like, you should stay away from drugs, because even if it's recreationally fun sometimes, like you're playing with fire, and most of the people get really burned bad like this. Like that list of people who literally went, like there was one person on there who went insane.
Mm-hmm.
He broke his brain so bad he's crazy for the rest of his life in an insane asylum.
I mean, it's like that Pink Floyd guy. What's his name?
Yeah, that's a good. I can't remember, but
Syd Barrett.
That's a good. That's as good a warning of any. Don't do drugs, kids.
Yeah.
Don't do it. I mean, maybe a little marijuana every once in a while is good, but don't do it. Yeah, I can't trust myself. I have an addictive personality. Once I get into something, I keep doing it. So I have to I can't do that. I don't trust myself enough.
All right. So that's your.
That's the negatives. It's so much about addiction that it almost forgets what it's actually about, which is a cop investigating a thing. And Philip K. Dick is good at writing stories about cops. I assume, because I've seen all the movies that I like from works of his that I like, are Minority Report, Blade Runner, Say another one.
Total Recall.
Total Recall. Yeah, it's like they're cops investigating stuff, and he's good at that. It grinds it.
Which out of all of these Philip K. Dick
Here
adaptations,
we go.
I want to say, I'll just put this on record. My favorite is the
The
original
Total Recall remake with Colin Farrell.
No, it's the original Total Recall because it's just so fucking batshit. I'm not even talking about the three boobs. I'm not even talking about like Guato or whatever. The fucking, yeah. Like it just that whole world.
I love it.
It's a great exercise in world building. And plus just the scene when they're out in the Martian atmosphere and his eyes are bugging out of his head. That's just great. I love it.
Yeah. And also
Love it.
that's up there with like the Terminator movies. Is like some of the biggest sort of highbrow
What is it?
stuff.
What is it about Schwarzenegger and being in like a good science fiction movie that like really makes it?
You know, I like that one because it's about like what's real and what's implanted and all these memories. Like that's a good one. Even like the cheesiest parts of the movie, "See you at the party, Victor," or whatever, any of that stuff. Like I'll give it that if I can still have cool alien things. With
Well,
the
out of all of
handprints
these,
that
it's like
you-
the least serious.
yeah. I hear the book is probably more serious, but I do like that movie. I like all three of those movies, and I think Blade Runner 2049, while not based on the same, like, you know, do androids dream of electric sheep? That's what they base Blade Runner off of.
Right.
Blade Runner 2049 is a movie-made sequel, kind of like they made The Lost World after Jurassic Park was successful.
Right.
So I like Blade Runner 2049 more than the original, and I like the original a good deal. I like the Ridley Scott's cut, the final cut,
Right.
which is I think is the best version of that.
Or it's got the alternate ending or whatever.
No, it has like I think it has the voiceover from Harrison Ford,
Mhm.
and it has a couple of extra scenes, and it has some extra scenes with Rutger Hauer. Is that his name? He plays the
I
head
can't
bad guy,
remember.
the guy who dies in the rain.
Batty.
Yeah, and it has some more stuff with him that's really good. That part where he strangles that guy to death is horrifying. Like just kills his eyes or whatever. But yeah, he's good at. I guess he's so good at doing stories like that that I was expecting some sort of, I don't know, something. I mean, there is a twist, but it's not as satisfying a twist as
It's like a real world twist. It's so far removed from, I wouldn't say so far removed, but it's not very science fiction. It's something that could happen right now.
Yeah.
You know, that's so it is very different from a lot of the other Philip K. Dick stuff.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely the most. For Richard Linklater, it feels like his most, I don't want to say ambitious, but his biggest, I feel like this is his biggest risk.
It's like his most artsy thing.
Yeah, it's definitely the riskiest sort of.
I don't know, man.
Artur thing
Boyhood
he's
seems
done.
like
No, that was always going to be good. I mean, it's a
like
risk.
if I was a studio executive though, it wouldn't matter like the money. Like you're gonna take 12 years on this movie.
Yeah,
Like shouldn't this be like your pet project? Why are you coming to us with this? Like
yeah, and you know a lot of the people who worked on that. Oh, he also did those romance movies with Ethan Hawke.
Oh
Before
yeah,
Midnight
that trilogy.
Sunrise, which apparently I haven't seen them, but I always thought
They're
they looked
supposed to
silly.
be.
But
They're supposed to be good.
Yeah. So but no, I guess like
I have actually getting off topic a little. I used to hate Ethan Hawke like so much, and like after Boyhood and after I saw what was that movie?
Training Day.
No, not Training Day. Like when
Day.
he was a teenager. Oh man, it's got Robin Williams in it and
Oh,
shit.
the fucking the one with the on the desks.
Yeah.
different point
Go
of view.
Captain, my captain. Why
Yes.
can't I remember the name of this movie right
I
now?
know I can't either.
Anyway,
Dead
I saw
Poets
that.
Society.
Yeah, I saw that pretty late, and I was like, yeah, all right,
Yeah.
all right. I like Ethan Hawke. I'll give him his credits
Yeah.
due.
He's had that thing where like now he's Cuba Gooding Jr. now. He's doing a bunch of direct to DVD stuff, and it's like I want him to do another big. But he did like Magnificent Seven last year.
Yeah.
which was cool. He plays like a PTSD Civil War veteran.
I didn't see that movie.
It's not bad if you like westerns. This is ambitious for Richard Linklater, and I want him to get back to doing doing stuff like this, but maybe more streamlined.
Mhm.
I want to feel less like what do you think, and more of like, you know, a more streamlined.
Like here it
plot.
is.
Like here it is. Yeah, exactly. Less what do you think, more this is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's really good. I think if you like, I think if you like cerebral thrillers that maybe are all really trippy and about drugs and stuff, you'll probably like this. I feel
Right.
like if you're expecting like a
Well, here's the thing. I wouldn't recommend getting stoned and watching this movie
no,
because the plot.
that defeats the purpose of what the movie is about. You're supposed to
Well-
watch the movie sober.
Well, here's the thing. Like, I recommend getting stoned and watching Dazed and Confused. That's fine. That's a Richard Linklater movie you can get stoned and watch and thoroughly enjoy.
Yeah.
You're not going to be able to follow a Scanner Darkly if you're at all under the influence.
Yeah.
Like, the
And I think-
plot is so thin
Yeah.
that
That's true. That's true.
that you're really having to pay attention to know what's going on. Otherwise, it's just one scene of paranoia to the next.
I would say that also it cuts against the purpose of the movie.
Sure.
You're supposed to be sober when you watch these people getting paranoid and freaking out and being like, what a bunch of idiots.
Sure.
You're supposed to think that. So like it's like that's the perspective of the filmmaker in those scenes. So when you sort of get stoned and watch it, it kind of would defeat the purpose.
You might laugh a little bit more,
Yeah.
but you're not.
You're not supposed to though. You're supposed to feel bad. Those scenes are objectively funny, but you're supposed to watch them and being like, I feel
Ooh.
really bad for these people.
Yeah, you're supposed to be like, ooh, ah.
Do you think does Keanu Reeves ever? This is the like I watched this movie twice. I rewatched it with you.
Mm-hmm.
Does Keanu Reeves ever actually have a wife and daughter, or does maybe that's something that he makes up? I honestly don't know.
Well, here's the thing: the house from that flashback scene is the same house.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I asked that.
But what do you want to think happened, Rob? Because
Well-
it is open to interpretation. I think.
Because there's that part where Donna. It's the last scene before we realize that his superior is Donna.
Mhm.
He goes, "I had 2 daughters, little ones," and she goes, "No, you didn't." And I was like, "How does she know that?" Because like here's the thing, she knows he's arced her the whole time.
Mhm.
She's setting him up, so she knows his backstory. So I feel like like when she says something like that, maybe that's like it's part of his brain damage. Is that he's compartmentalizing his life and creating this other past that never existed.
Here's the thing: I want to think that he did.
Yeah.
Just because I like it, it adds to the tiny bit of like noir downfall kind of shit to his character.
Sure.
It's
hard to get more downfall than this.
And
It's a pretty
and
terrible
I like to
ending.
think that he did have kids, and that he just got fed up with his life and all that shit, and that when she says no, you didn't, that is her just developing his next alter ego or whatever, which is Bruce.
Maybe.
That's a little bit of gaslighting to as an ends
That's
to
true,
her
if
means.
that's true, that makes Winona Ryder's character way worse. Makes her way more sinister.
And think about it. She's also Donna, so she's also posing as the person they're supposed to be going after.
Yeah.
So, I mean, like she's
there's
like
there's-
5 levels deep in this shit, man.
Yeah. There's also those parts where they won't. There's a thing in the movie
Where she doesn't
have sex with him.
right, she doesn't want him to touch her or anything like
What's
that.
that about?
It could either be
Is that a thing? Like again, I don't know anything about drugs. But like, is that thing like
Well,
she
if
says?
you do-
She said like, I did a lot of coke. I don't want you to touch me. Is that a
here's
thing?
the thing. After seeing the end of the movie, what
I would like to clarify for the audience. I'm not assuming Zach is not a junkie of any sort, so I'm not using him as my junkie Wikipedia. At this moment. I just genuinely don't know if that's a thing that exists.
I wouldn't know, um, but I assume that it's just more part of like her character, she is his superior, and she might think, since she's like puppeteering this guy or whatever, that she didn't want to get feelings or anything like that. Not really.
Yeah.
I think it's just another form of her trying to separate herself from that world.
Do you think she actually likes him? I think she does.
I think she wants to like him, but the professional part of her overrides it every time,
Maybe.
which is part of the reason why
we ever-
she didn't want to get physical.
Do we ever see her do drugs?
We see her smoke some pot, I think.
She says she does a lot of coke, but we never see her. We never see her do any D either. Because he asks her, how much have you been doing? And she goes, not a lot. But if she had done, this drug's pretty horrible. If she had done any, she'd have some of those side effects.
Mhm.
I think she would have spiraled out too. But
Right.
I think it's like Robert Downey Jr. says, you're either on it or you haven't tried it. And if you're on it, you become the guy with the bugs all over him eventually.
Right.
It's just a matter of time. So I don't know. That's the hardest part to break through, because that's the part that they don't give you enough information, so they just
Right.
sort of leave.
And that's
that.
done very on purpose, I feel.
I'm sure. Yeah, I wouldn't mind. I think it's solid. I think if you like Linklater, this is one of his more ambitious, Artourish movies. Probably not my favorite. I probably won't watch it again. Would you?
Would I watch it again?
No. Would you? Like, how would you recommend this? That's how I recommend it.
I would
It's
recommend.
worth one watch and not a moment more.
I would recommend, putting it on. Let's say that you're having like some kind of low key Halloween party or something. You need something going on in the background.
Yes.
I would recommend it for one really good watch
Sure.
for someone. Pay attention to it and soak up what you can out of all of its themes and what it's trying to tell you.
Yeah. Don't do drugs either. Also, I think that I believe I read the score of this movie was done by I think Tom York from Radiohead.
Oh no shit.
I think so.
Yeah, that's
be
what I
wrong
was
about
gonna
that.
say too. I really like the music in this movie. It's
Weird and very disarming.
yeah, it's like stonery meets like
Except for like some of those monologues where they have like the big string sections and they get real sad.
yeah.
Which
I
is-
would say
I
that's
don't know-
actually one of the best parts about the movie is the music. It really it brings a lot to the mood that it wouldn't have had otherwise.
Maybe, I don't know. I thought it was fine.
Like it's got lots of these like surfer California kind of like dun 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 like that kind of
Yeah.
stuff that
Yeah,
feels
it's like
really
I say, like it feels
appropriate.
It feels upbeat and fun, but the movie's not, which I think is I think it's either usually on purpose or it's tonal dissonance on part of the filmmaker. Because sometimes people put when a person will put music behind something to elicit a certain feeling, and sometimes they do it subversively to make you feel good when you should feel.
Well, yeah, like the music at the beginning of the movie wants you to think that this world of drugs and paranoia is actually cool. Like
Yeah.
it's very like cool, like badass kind of,
almost dazed and confused, like
right.
way.
And then he like you said, it evolves over the course of the movie into like these soaring string sections and stuff that are like really sad.
Yeah,
And,
but they are literally only reserved for Keanu Reeves. I don't think there's ever a moment like Woody Harrelson ever has one. Robert Downey Jr.
well, the
doesn't
movie
have
is a
one.
tragedy.
Yeah,
It is in
really
a
is.
fullest sense of it. And that's your fucking tragic character is Keanu Reeves.
so watch it once, maybe in the background of some stuff, some cool animation as well, and
And it's one of Keanu Reeves' better offerings as an actor.
yeah. Let's talk about some Philip K. Dick stuff. That's what we need to talk about.
I think we already did. Really.
Let's talk about some more though, a little bit. more. Why do you like Blade Runner? Let's talk about Blade Runner. Because Philip K. Dick wrote Blade Runner. Blade Runner. Blade Runner. Blade Runner.
Blade Runner.
Blade Runner.
Wave Runner. I like Blade Runner. I like Blade Runner because I see it as like a cautionary tale.
Yeah.
Right. I see it as it's capitalism run amok. All right. It's like when it reaches the Ouroboros effect of like eating itself, capitalism. And I like to think that, in the future we get androids and stuff, like the idea, that something like that can be, more than human or whatever.
Yeah.
And should we, it's the questions it makes you ask yourself.
Yeah.
That's why I like Blade Runner.
I don't disagree with that. I like the idea.
And
that-
also I just like really dark, brooding, like,
sure, that's your thing.
noir type shit.
That's your thing. If they ever make a dark and brooding superhero movie, you'll be in for it.
Well, they had the
That's
Spirit.
irony because they do a lot of those. That's what I'm saying. The Spirit is a terrible movie. What are you talking about? If you love that movie, I'll never look at you the same.
That was a joke.
Then that is based off of a famous comic book author, though.
What do you think of the Adjustment Bureau? That's based off of.
I've
Philip
never
K.
seen
Dick.
it. Heard it was awful.
Okay, so
Tell me what that's about.
it's really fucking weird. Okay, so
You've seen
here's
this?
here's the synopsis as told by Google. I have seen it, and I thought it was all right. You know, I'd give it like a 7.5 out of 10. But he, just as he's on the brink of winning a Senate seat, politician David Norris, as played by Matt Damon, meets a ballerina, played by Emily Blunt.
Yeah.
Though David is instantly smitten, mysterious men conspire to keep him away from the beautiful dancer. David learns that he is facing the powerful agents of fate itself, which are depicted as like angels or something in the movie, kind of. Like that's what they are trying to, get you to auto-complete in your mind.
This is a post A Scanner Darkly Philip K. Dick story.
And glimpsing the future laid out for him must either accept a predetermined path that does not include Elise or defy fate to belong with her. So this has also got
So there's like an Illuminati thing telling him to stop being with
right.
Jake.
It's this big organization, and so they put on their little hats, and that allows them to like go through any door but transport anywhere through the door. So once they put on their hat, the door becomes like an interdimensional fucking wormhole or something. They can go anywhere. So that's and they've been like around for thousands of years and all this shit, slowly, shaping the narrative of Earth. It's all right.
What's the best part about it? Is there a best part about it? Also, spoilers for all these, I suppose. I guess we're going into spoilers.
Best part about the Adjustment Bureau, is again, like all the Philip K. Dick shit, is the questions that you want to ask yourself.
Right.
Is this okay? What's the moral quandary here? So the idea that if fate is a real thing, can you just like ride that wave, or is it
Maybe.
better to strike off on your own path?
Sure. I heard a great quote from Christopher Hitchens once, and he says, "Of course, I believe in free will. The creator of the universe says I have to." But I'll probably take a pass on the Adjustment Bureau. But what I do like about Blade Runner, though, is the question of, is your humanity organic, or is it the sum total of your experiences? That's why I love that last monologue so much when he's when Harrison Ford kills. He says his name is Batty, the
Yeah.
blonde-haired android.
Yeah, it's something bad.
Whatever his name is, I can't remember what his name is. But when he kills him, he gives that speech and he goes, "I've been to the moons of Saturn, or seen the rings of Saturn, or Orion's belt, or whatever." And he goes, "They're just as beautiful to me as they are to you." And he goes, "You don't own these things." And I think they do. They take that and they make it even more personal in the sequel. So I think that sequel is so much better, is because they'd almost
Do you think Decker is an android?
Ridley Scott.
replicant?
Ridley Scott has said he is. In the sequel, they never address it.
Really?
No, they leave it open to you still,
Hmm.
because they could theoretically still have children. However,
Do replicants age?
I think so. I don't know.
Well, here's the question.
Dave
like,
Bautista plays
how-
a replicant in the opening of the movie.
how organic is the replicant? That's what I want to know.
Well, they're grown. They're
Okay,
born. They're
that make
born.
okay, fine. Because they're just then yeah. So what's
There's a part in the movie where Jared Leto breeds one. Like he takes it out of its big egg thing, and it's already like a grown woman. And then he kills it because he's crazy or something. So I think they kind of come already grown, but they continue to grow. I think.
Hmm.
I don't know. I think it doesn't matter. Harrison Ford gets older, and the rumor, or maybe not the rumor, but the what's the word I'm looking for here? The theory is that Harrison Ford is a new type. After Blade Runner, there was like types of androids or types of replicants. They were like the T9s or whatever. And after they got to a certain age, they would be shut down or whatever. But these guys, these renegade replicants, didn't want to be, so they went rogue or whatever. And that Deckard is a replicant that could age, because he was like this new model that the guy made or whatever. So it's all into like, there's so many theories with Blade Runner that you can take them to wherever. But I love the idea in Blade Runner 2 or Blade Runner 2049 that this random Blade Runner played by Ryan Gosling is almost tricked. Not even tricked, really. He genuinely he starts growing these human emotions, and he thinks he's part of something great. And then there's this part in the movie where they just sort of pull the rug out from under him, and he's not.
Mm.
But he doesn't. And it's weird. It's like a fight against like your own, like you said, like this weird fatalism. It's like almost like he wasn't allowed to be human, but he's like, no, I get to decide that. It's still a great movie. You should still watch that if you haven't.
Yeah, I need to, man. I've got lots of stuff I need to do. It's just so little time. Like we needed to get in here and do this podcast like 4 or 5 weeks ago.
They don't know that though, because they don't know how long we have a stockpile.
It's a mystery.
Yeah. Anything else? Are we good to wrap up?
What's our next movie?
The next Keanu month movie.
Next Keanu movie.
We'll probably do Constantine, and then we'll wrap it up with another one of yours. Maybe The Replacements or The Matrix or something.
What if I picked Hardball?
What's that movie?
It's Keanu Reeves as a coach of a Little League baseball team.
You mentioned this to me before. You could pick that one.
It's such an odd movie to have him in.
Oh, by the way, Richard Linklater also directed Bad News Bears and School of Rock.
Damn.
Yeah. You would never know that if I hadn't told you.
No, I wouldn't even have thought it. Well, that about does it here at the movie date with Rob and Zach.
Yeah. We would like to tell you guys to subscribe to our YouTube channel on YouTube. It's on the movie date with Rob and Zach on YouTube.
It's good stuff.
Podbean. And we are sitting here in Horizon Studios. Like us on Facebook. Zach, do you have anything you want to plug? Do you have anything cool coming up in your life that you want to talk about?
Just local stuff. Come see me at the Joint Theater in Argenta. I'm doing stand-up there every Tuesday.
Yeah. How are you liking the new Spider-Man game?
Oh, boy. I never thought you'd ask. That Spider-Man game is so cool. It's like a fanboy sticky dream.
I saw an article on Facebook like before you came over here, and I was like, I wonder if he's heard of this. But like, apparently, there's some controversy about it now. They were like,
what controversy?
It's like Spider-Man fans can't get any pettier. Then it showed a picture of the new Spider-Man game, and I was like, what's
okay. Here's the thing. When they showed the trailer,
what are they bitching about?
When they showed the trailer for it at E3, it looked so good and gorgeous and stuff. And then they like showed the same scenes from that trailer like a year on, and it's to most people they thought it was a graphical downgrade. And I'm just sitting here like, no, they just made it like less shiny, you know? Like it's a bunch of fucking nerds bitching about graphical quality. And I'm just sitting here like, dude, all right, let's take this game and compare it to Spider-Man 2 on the PS2. And you tell me that you don't appreciate, modern advancements in graphical technology.
Yeah, I'm sure it looks better. I haven't seen. I mean, I like that sounds like
it's
to call that petty is like
pardon the pun. It's amazing.
Oh, because
it might even be spectacular. Okay, yeah.
Nice. Well, I'm glad that you're enjoying that.
Oh man, I spent the whole weekend, dude. Like, it's like get to fight the Sinister Six. It's so badass.
What's the best part of the story for you that you like?
I don't want to spoil anything for anybody.
Do it anyway.
Oh yeah, okay. The best part of the story is the boss fights for me. Because in most like the Batman games and stuff, when you fight a boss, you're like using it's more often than not like, okay, you've acquired these abilities up to this far. Now we're gonna test your use of the abilities that you just acquired and shit.
They give you these big openings where you have to hit
right, and it's like you have to fight them in a certain way and stuff. And there is some of that in the boss fights here, but mostly it's just like you fight him like you would any other enemy.
Just kick his ass, baby.
Right. It's just kick his ass.
Yeah.
And, the best fight I thought was between, it was Vulture and Electro team up. And you're fighting around these big smokestacks or whatever. And so that's kind of like the arena or the area where you're fighting them.
How accurate, let me ask you this, because, I mean, I'm a comic booky guy. And I like Spider-Man. How accurate is, like, given, like, the Vulture that we saw in Spider-Man Homecoming, it's pretty its own thing. It's not very comic book Vulture. Not to say that they haven't done other stuff.
Well, here's the thing. In this
how accurate is is the Vulture.
None of the characters have like cloth suits, you know. It's all very modernized, you know. So like everyone's kind of like they would be in like a cinematic kind of universe or whatever.
Good.
I
I never understand people who are like, I wish it was more like it was in the '60s.
Yeah, that's dumb, man. No, like, no,
I wish
you
Iron
move
Man still
you
used his tongue to
to flip his
suit.
switches. Yeah, like no, that's dumb. Let's get with the times here. What I think is cool.
Says the guy who doesn't want Black Panther to have a cool suit that explodes stuff.
I just think Black Panther himself is cooler than his suit.
That's
He
fair.
is more than his suit.
That's fair. That's fair. I can do that. That's nice. All right, cool. So that's That's everything we have for this episode.
Yep.
of
Stay
the
tuned for the
podcast.
next one, and we're gonna be a lot better about being punctual with these from now on.
Yeah. Again, you shot yourself in the foot because they didn't have to know that this took so long.
Fuck. You edit it out or something.
No, I'm leaving it in.
All
Just
right.
because you said it, I'm leaving it in.
Well, thanks
one.
again, movie fans.
Constantine next week.
Woo.
And there's some movies coming up soon. We have we're in September now, so October's coming up. We should probably do like the new Halloween, which is supposed to be solid.
Yeah, didn't Danny
McBride.
Yeah,
and
Danny
someone
McBride
else
wrote that, didn't he? Or
Yeah.
did he direct it too?
No, him and I think someone else wrote it. I don't think it was Seth Rogen, but it was one of his.
Him and the guy who wrote like Eastbound and Down and all that stuff. I think,
Yeah, I think
like his
so.
longtime writing partner.
Yeah, so we should do that, or maybe do some more horror movies. Maybe I'll make you watch Hereditary. Yeah. Aquaman, November. Whoop whoop.
Whoop whoop.
And some other shit, I'm sure.
And we might even get around to some of the stuff we missed over the summer, like Ocean's 8, stuff like that.
Yeah. I saw that with my mom.
Oh, you saw it with your mom?
Yes.
That's like the perfect movie to go see with your
she
mom.
wanted to like, what? She was like, what movie do you want to go see? I was like, you want to go see Hereditary? It'll scare the shit out of you, Mom. And she's like, I don't like scary movies. And I was like, oh, you want to go see The Incredibles 2? That's childish. And then I was like, you want to go see this all-woman remake of Ocean's 11? Yes!
I'll bet she loved that shit.
So we did that, and it's not bad. It's not a remake. It's actually it is a sequel to those George Clooney ones.
Right.
Yeah, it's just kind of, it's for being exactly what you expect. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's enough out of us. Goodbye.